This podcast contains strong language and adult themes.
Date Night China explores life and love for better relationships in China. Every week, we hear from different guests and dive into dating, relationships, mental health, and how both expats and Chinese people connect with each other here in China.
Join the Date Night community through our podcast and events in Beijing and Shanghai, and catch up on all the latest stories on our official WeChat account.
Find our account on WeChat by searching Date Night China, no spaces, no capital letters. You can also join our WeChat group by adding Rachel, me, on WeChat. You can search Rachel Weiss 22, RACHEL WEISS 22.
And now for this week's episode. Hello and welcome back to Date Night China. In episode 9, we met Kat and Haydn, polyamorous individuals and nesting partners in China. They shared about what being nesting partners means, their rules and boundaries for relationships with other people, and they briefly talked about how Hadyn met one of Kat's other partners, Hadyn's Metamour.
Yeah, so today Kat is back with Hadyn's Metamour, Dave, and we're really excited to be talking to you guys.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back again, Kat. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Really nice to see you guys again.
Yeah, you too. How are you feeling about today?
That is exciting. It's
Yeah.
very exciting because I think, I don't know, like there's a lot of communications between Dave and I, and then also between Hadyn and I, talking about the episodes, and then a lot of feedbacks from friends as well. So like, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, how was the
Ooh.
feedback? Because, I mean, Hadyn did share some of it, and
Yeah.
he got some quite positive feedback. It was very nice to hear, you know.
I got most of the feedback is like, when I hear that story, it's like, everybody just like, oh, you're so Kat. That's the most feedback I get.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was your real self. They're like,
Yeah.
yep, that's Kat.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Dave, welcome. How are
Thank
you
you.
doing tonight?
Doing fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So thanks for joining us. Since we know Kat a bit from the episode 9, let's get to know you, Dave, a little bit. Can you tell us just where you're from? How long have you been in China? And yeah, what's going on now? How are you doing?
So I'm originally from Austin, Texas.
Oh, I'm from Texas.
No way.
Yeah, I'm from Fort Worth, but my family lives in Pflugerville. Anyways,
No.
yeah.
I've been to Pflugerville. I grew up really close to Pflugerville.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna talk about this later.
Alright, cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's see. I came over to Beijing early 2008. So I've been here 14-ish something years now.
Wow,
Mhm.
a long time. And since
Yeah.
the Beijing Olympics, right?
Yep.
Very cool. Okay. So you've been in Beijing, long time Beijing expat. So let's talk about you and Kat. How did you guys meet?
On the episode 9, I said that like Hadyn and I met on Tinder. Dave and I met on Bumble.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
So you made the
Technology.
first move.
Yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
did make the first move. Yeah.
I have to scroll back through the chat and see who talked first.
Oh yeah. I did talk first.
I think so.
That's
'cause
Oh, yeah,
on
Bumble, you have to-
yeah,
right,
the
okay.
women has to make the first move.
Rock on.
And so Kat, were you like, I know we've talked about your profiles and stuff before,
Yeah.
and you were very like open on your profile.
Yeah.
And Dave, how was it when you were like swiping and you saw, or I guess she swiped first, I don't know. But how did you feel? Were you kind of looking for anybody who was open?
I wasn't looking for anything serious relationship wise.
That's
So
what Hadyn
I-
said.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what happens with you, I think. I wasn't looking for anything serious. So we chatted for a little while. It was interesting. I was intrigued. I wanted to get to know her more and meet. It took us a while to meet because I was traveling.
We talked for like 3 weeks before we actually meet.
Oh, right, okay, so establishing, you know...
But it wasn't
relationship
always
online.
like long chats and everything. I don't really do long chat. I have no patience with it. I guess you guys know about it in the group chat. Like I basically don't say anything.
You send like a nice sticker and you're
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, and then like Dave had to like add me all the time, and then it's like, okay, I saw that. It's just I don't like chat, and then so like it was just short chat, and then like for every couple of days and everything, and then yeah, until we met.
So, Dave, so at that point, you weren't looking for anything too serious, but you read her profile, so you knew her, current situation. Had you been in open relationships before? Had you considered it? Was it something that you didn't always were curious in, but you didn't have the opportunity? Or was this just purely based on, this seems like a cool thing I want to pursue, and we'll see where it goes?
It was actually nothing to do with the open relationship part. It just seemed like a cool person. And at that time, I'd been dating people, but nothing serious. I'd been having relationships with people and seeing other people at the same time, seeing multiple people. But I never thought about it as being poly or being open or being anything other than just I'm dating. I'm enjoying this part of my life. If I want to go out and do this with this person, I want to do that. If I want to go out with this person and spend time with them, I do that. So I think once I met her and kind of asked her more questions about what does she mean when she's poly, what does she mean about this, and talked about her relationships and how she views love and spending time with other people, and that I kind of more realized that I was doing something very similar. I just wasn't putting a label on it.
Yeah, Kat, I feel like you before had mentioned to you as well, when you were kind of single, you were like, well, what I'm doing is I'm dating lots of people, I'm having my own independence, I'm already doing this kind of anyways and really enjoying it. And so I guess maybe it was kind of a similar thing, like I can be single, I can date and have
and I would normally put that as like open, because you're not really like attached to anyone specifically, like emotionally, or spending way of thinking. So yeah, it was pretty much the same. And I remember that, like, I think when we match on Bumble, in my profile, I actually said that I'm polyamorous, and then something. And then I remember there was a time that I was like, I'm in open relationship, because I was very confused with the labels as well. Like, and just start to get to know the community and get to know the terms and everything. And then I was feeling like, okay, Hadyn wants poly. He wants multiple, like, deep romantic relationship with people. I am only like, I'm in love with Hadyn, and I'm only looking for flings, physical things. And so, like, I would put myself into open, but I don't really remember what did I put there when we matched, because I change the portfolio now again. It's like I have 2 partners.
So then how did you kind of go from dating against once you met to saying, hey, I guess maybe, like, let's start seeing each other more and start a relationship? Would you say that it is a relationship now?
Very fast.
Yeah, I would say it's a relationship now.
Yeah, it is a relationship now, but like the whole process was extremely fast.
Oh wow, was that surprising?
It was very surprising.
I guess maybe more so for you, Dave, because you were like you were newer to this than Kat was, right?
Yeah, I went from, I think from our first date, I went from before that seeing maybe 3 or 4 people a week to seeing only Kat for 6 months straight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So when you first started a relationship, did you immediately start discussing, like, what are our boundaries, and are we still dating other people?
No, not really. We don't really talk about those things in the very beginning. I think we're like very focused on how we feel, and we just wanted to see each other.
For me, the thought wasn't even there. It was, this is who I want to be spending my time with. I had friends with benefits that I was ignoring and saying, sorry, I'm not free. I'm busy doing something else. And I was just following the kind of path that felt right for me at the time, which is what I was doing before. I was just, if I want to spend my time here with this person, that's what I'm going to do. And I was focusing a lot of my time on Kat.
Wow. I mean, that's great, though, because, straight away when you said about you weren't sure on labels, I think for some people listening to this, and me when I listen to it, it is a little bit overwhelming, like hearing the, right, okay, labels, and what does that mean, and the boundaries and the rules and the what can I do, what is, it's a lot to take in, but for you to both to go into that with just like an open sort of mindset and just say no, it still boils down to we are still exploring this new
and
thing
it's our
between
connection
us. So
that
it's
we're
kind of
just...
cool that it's still pretty simple in a way. You know, that's what it sounds like, right? Is that right?
Yeah. And I don't like labels at all.
Yeah.
But in our society, labels work very well to pass information quickly and in a matter where most people can understand it. So I use them, I get them, but I don't really like labeling a lot of things in my life. I don't like being labeled.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great though. It's just like it's your connection that you guys have, and you're like, this is where I want to spend my time, and I want to just see where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, how was it for you, Dave, when you kind of knew, okay, she's got this nesting partner? Were you guys nesting partners by then at that point?
Yeah.
Okay. And was like talking about Hadyn, was that something you were pretty open to share about, or do you guys have? Were you kind of like, no, I'm an individual and this is my other partner, and that's kind of just separate?
Here's the thing about like having a nesting partner, because it's like kind of like your life. You can't really talk about your life without talking to that person, because that person's behavior or daily life actually have effects on you as well. So like I don't really hide that part of my life. And then, but I also, when I am talking to Dave about Hadyn or anything like that, I don't take it as like, oh, it have an effect on our relationship. No, I'm just sharing about my life, my daily life with you. And so it's more like that.
Yeah, and I think the complete honesty was something I very, very value. And from the very second that we started chatting and met, she's always been completely honest. Even going so far as to say, you know, I'm going to tell you something, you're not going to like to hear it, but this is the truth. And very clear with giving me the right to have my own opinion and reaction to it, and giving me the, what's the word?
The what?
Crap. Giving me
agency.
My agency. Thank you.
Yes.
Giving my agency to make my own decision and continue with it, where I feel like, yes, this is, I know what's at stake. I know what's happening. This is my choice.
Yeah, you have like the full knowledge.
Was it kind of like, I don't know, I've got this analogy in my head, but it's like, you know, have you ever played like the like Dungeons and Dragons, or like there's like a role playing game?
I know I haven't played.
But like you roll a dice, and then like in the book it's like, okay, you've got two options, right? You know, you can either do this or roll for this. Now, if you're in like maybe just like a monogamous relationship, you know, you've got X amount of options. But now that you're in this polyamorous relationship, are there like more ways that you could react? Or you think, well, okay, usually in this situation, this is how I feel about it, but now I'm in this different dynamic, a dynamic that I've never been in before. So do I need to reassess a little bit harder or a little bit more and react in a way that maybe I've not done in the past? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't think it affects that so much. I mean, I've been in, my whole life has been a series of monogamous relationships. Even in college, high school 2 years, college 6 years, here in China 10 years. And I was always faithful and happy to be monogamous. But I think even in those relationships, the choice is always yours. There's always a consequence, and you always have options. It's whether you want to follow your choice and suffer the consequences, or say, okay, I'm just not going to do this. I'm going to compromise and go this direction. So I don't feel that it's any different between monogamous and open or poly.
Yeah.
I think there are just choices.
Yeah, it's just I think that poly relationship, you actually have to be more honest with how many options that you're placing around, because like in monogamy relationships, I think people would sometimes go for the easy choice, which is not talk about it, or just simply not mention it, or just like suffer by yourself and not to mention that to your partner. But in polyamorous relationship, you kind of like the most easy. You can still do that, but it's just gonna make your life miserable, because you're dealing with a multiple relationship at one time, and your time and your energy is so limited. And then so the easiest way is just to place out all the options, and the reality to everyone and make sure everybody is making their own choices.
Yeah. That's really interesting. We have had other people listen to the first episode. We have, other monogamous friends who are just like, wow, it just sounds like so much communication and energy that you have to, because you have to be just so honest about it. So Kat, for you as well, like with having partners, multiple partners, does it take a lot of time and energy for yourself to navigate, or do you have different rules and boundaries for partners, or just open sharing across the board? Does it just take a lot of communication?
It takes a lot of communications for sure, but I don't think my boundary and rules have been changing that much, because like Hadyn and I experienced that period of time because we were both like new to this. So I don't like, so we go through like phases that we have a lot of boundaries, it's like a list of things, and then comes to the end and saying that like, okay, we only have like this simple rules right now because it fits our lifestyle, is more flexible and everything. So when I met Dave, that just simply applies, and telling him that like, here is the boundary I have already. And it's been tested out, and then it's been like after like a long process of thinking and actions. So like you can make your own choices to see if those boundary applies to you. You can add more to it, but I don't know, like Dave doesn't really like, Dave agrees with the boundaries and stuff, because to be honest, like the main two boundaries I have is always like safe sex, honesty. That's the two things.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is it for you, Dave, when you first when she was telling you these boundaries, were you kind of just like, okay, yeah, I agree with those? Was there anything that you did want to change or add on?
And then did that change when those boundaries were put into practice, so you had to deal with those, those realities?
I wouldn't say anything about the boundaries that need to be changed or being put in practice, but I think when you set the boundaries, and it's all hypothetical and it's something you're talking about, and then when events happen, and then it's dealing with the emotions that come after that, with conversations about what's going on, how you're feeling, how I'm feeling, why am I feeling like this, what are we doing about it? It's a lot of communication, and I think that's one of my most favorite parts of the relationship, is that it is so honest, and it is open communication, and it is total honesty, and it is dealing with emotions and feelings and in a very logical and non-judgmental way, and it's very, I don't know, it feels happy.
Yeah. Something we talked about last time you guys both brought up was compersion and like the feeling of being happy for your partner. But a lot of people still ask like, well, what about the feelings of jealousy? Do you ever have feelings of jealousy? And how do you handle that, especially if you're with other partners or if you're dating other people? How does that happen?
This is a part that we were kind of like about, like not scared, but like it's a bit also not complicated, but this part is something that like on episode 9, when I'm with Hadyn talking about my relationship with Hadyn, this is something that we don't really need to deal with a lot. But with him, this is something constantly happens in our relationship. So like it was like, I don't want to confuse our audience up and everything. I just have to tell you that like jealousy do exist. And between Dave and I, this has been something that we're trying to work on. Frankly, like it takes a lot of time and communication, and we still don't really have a clear conclusions about it. But like for me, it's just I feel very jealous when he's meeting with other people or whatsoever. But I think mainly there is like feel difference, because like the first and second time he did that, it was when he was far away. He was out of the city for like 6 weeks, and due to the reason we probably all know why, just happens a few months back. So like I haven't seen him in weeks, and then you're telling me that you're seeing someone else. You're dealing with like you're spending time with someone else, and I was like, it's just like blood rushes to my head, and it was like, I don't want to talk to you. Like yeah, it was really like that.
That's so interesting.
And there's another feeling that I think people don't necessarily speak about, but she feels jealous, and then I feel guilty. So it goes both ways. There's also the guilty feeling I have where I'm like, I'm in a happy relationship. I've been monogamous almost all my life. I'm with a person that makes me extremely happy. I like making them happy. Why am I wanting to see other people or have other experiences when I know that this is going to cause her to have those feelings?
Yeah, that's
We've had a lot of talks about this.
We have.
Because I guess, and again, you coming into it sort of new, you know, and then being confronted with that jealousy, isn't there a little bit of a moment where you're like, hang on a minute, I thought, wait a minute.
But people are going to have their emotion and their jealousy no matter what. And that's her. I'm giving her the truth. She's giving me her truth. Her truth is jealousy, and she's telling me straight away. And then we talk about, okay, well, why are you jealous? Or what can I do? Or what is a better way that we can deal with this? And typically with Kat, she needs time to process it and let that emotion kind of calm down and deal with it logically. And then she'll come back and it's okay again.
It's just, we have that. I was just kind of like, I remember the first time when he told me the story and everything, I was like, okay, good. And then I just like, we were video calling, and then like after we hang up, I was just like that whole day I didn't want to answer his messages. I would just like to be shut down, like need the time to process, because I don't want to react when I'm very emotional, because when I do that, I know I'm such a bitch. I am observant.
You might say or do something that you don't.
I know very well. I observe people so well, so like I know where is their weak spot. And when I'm emotional, I burn everything down, and I'm just like gonna stab on that spot constantly, like again, until they get hurt as I am. So like, don't try that. Yeah, don't ever really try that. So like, I need my time to process. But then also on the other side, during this experience with him, I also find out that he is someone that not really good at waiting for me to calm down, because he doesn't know what to do. Like, he's like, what should I do? It's like he worries so much, and then like, and then he's just can't stop, and then it makes me like, why are you pushing me, or something like that. So like, it's a conflict I never had.
It sounds like a very dramatic flip from what you were saying of like, you know, open honesty, communication, you know, like and stuff, and then suddenly there's this gray. If you have this moment, right, and there's this gray area where it's like, oh, what the fuck is happening now? And nothing. It just seems quite the switch.
I see where you're coming from, but to me, it's not. It's still a relationship, and it's still emotions, and everything is new. And when something happens for the first time, you don't know how the other person is going to react. And I can't be upset with her for her having her own reaction. Sure. I can only deal with it and do what I can to help support her and make her feel loved and get through it. So it is one thing when you talk about it and you say, yeah, this is the lifestyle I live, this is okay. But every interaction you have in your whole life with an individual is different than any other individual. Yes. So
I was just thinking that, like, we're all humans, and you're going to have feelings, and you're going to have your own emotions and way to process and deal with things. Even with us, you know, even in a monogamous relationship or a friendship, like, we've had situations as well where you're like, oh, I didn't know, like, that's how you might handle this situation. Or now you're seeing a different side of me that we've never seen before. That just is going to happen.
Yeah. And we're still, you know, we've just over 2 years, and, you know,
still like that happens.
Recently, it was just like, just reminding, oh, yeah, this is how... From my point of view, this is how Rachel deals with this situation, and I just need to remember that a little bit more. Yeah,
I'm a slow processor, and he's not very patient either. So like sometimes, I totally get that. So sometimes I'm like, I just need time to process this, or if we've had an argument or a tiff, or like something big has happened, I'm like, I need space away from it, and I might bring it back to you again and again if I need time to talk it through again. And he's just like, well, can we just talk about it now, and then I want to move forward. I want to keep going, not forget about it or anything, but like we can just move forward. And I'm like, but no, wait, what about this? Yes. I want to talk about about it again. And he thinks I'm dwelling on it, but I'm just processing it.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. And people are different with how they all respond to those things.
Yeah, so we're kind of like sort of like having practice about that and everything. But like I think the true thing is like we're still gonna be open and honest with like all those things. We're just like letting each other's have time and have their emotional time, and then we can come back to it.
And I do get jealous, but from the beginning of the relationship, because she told me about her situation and her lifestyle, I knew about Hadyn. I knew about a lot about their relationship. So it's something that I had more time to process and deal with than she had for if I see someone else.
It's like a new
it's
thing
an instant
happening.
for her, but it's something that I had months to think about and ask her questions about her relationship and ask her about her husband and ask about a lot of things and process that information. And it's also a choice that I made probably after our first date. I was like, yeah, she's married. She has a nesting partner, but I like her. I want to continue to see her. And yeah,
Yeah, and then also like it's also new for me because like you guys are just like would be very dramatic. It's not only dramatic to him; it's dramatic to me. I've never felt that amount of jealousy in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It was not just about the jealousy. It's because the
So quite surprising to you. Like,
it's
you
quite
'cause
surprising
you're
to
having
me.
to deal with like a whole other level of emotion that is just
and then
completely
I'm
new.
a very rational person as well. I like myself being rational and calm all the time. Like I want my mood to be steady as a dead man's heartbeat. So like,
pretty steady.
yeah,
It's pretty steady.
Pretty steady.
So like for me, it was just kind of like my rational part is strong, but then my emotional part is also strong at that moment, and it was just kind of like tearing me apart. So like I don't want to talk. I want to
You're
answer
tearing
the
me apart,
messages.
Lisa.
Yeah,
It's
I was like
like,
kind of like. And then just so like it's also new for me. So I also need to learn. Oh shit! I have this kind of like new things that I haven't experienced before. It also means that I need to find a way. I need to understand why. I need to find a way to cope with it, like a new way that I've never done before, something like that. So like I think it was just like very new experiments for both of us.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it actually came to, I guess, like your social lives, your friends, and even like with Hadyn, your nesting partner, how did you kind of like open up and share about it, or have you really, or do you kind of keep certain parts
Because
maybe a
you've
bit
met,
more
haven't
private?
You and Hadyn.
Oh yeah, I want to get to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess first of all,
I've
just, like,
met
socialize.
many of Kat's friends. I've been in her social scene. I've met Hadyn. Kat has met many of my friends. She's been in my social scene.
Okay. Yeah.
And how was it explaining to your friends or talking to your friends, or how much explanation did you feel was necessary, or much did you want to? Like, how was that?
I don't hide things from them, but I tell them that I'm in a relationship. The woman that I'm dating is polyamorous, and she is married, and she has a husband, and I'm okay with it, and we're open. And there'll be some follow-up questions, some of which I'll answer, some of which I'll just kind of change the topic.
And is it out of just morbid curiosity?
There's I don't know about you guys, but in my life, there's some close people that I will share many things.
Sure.
And then there's people that I just know. And I don't want to go into a ton of detail with a person that I don't really care for sharing.
Yeah, you don't.
Unless it's on a
intimate parts of
podcast.
my life. Yeah, unless it's a podcast. And then everything. Floodgates are open. All the information is out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reaction from friends is I think fairly normal. There's questions, there's support, there's, well, if you're happy, then go for it. There's people that are like, well, I could never do that. How could you deal with this? It's a
spectrum.
Yeah.
You get the whole gamut of
All of it,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of heard from Hadyn's just a little bit, his point of view of like first meeting each other. So we would want to hear more from your perspective, I guess, like, because you'd known about him, you knew she had a nesting partner. Was there some kind of preparing and planning before meeting of like, what are you both comfortable with? How are we going to do this? Was there any hesitation on your part for even meeting?
Hesitation, no. Basically, I was given the option by Kat and by Hadyn saying, we want you, I invited to a party at their house. It'll be our first time hanging out. And they said, if you want to go to the party, we suggest that you and Hadyn sit down together and get to know each other before. But again, it was all, do you want to do this? You don't have to meet him if you don't want to. This is totally your choice. This is a relationship between me and Kat. It has nothing to do with Hadyn. So don't feel any pressure to do anything you're not comfortable with. And I was definitely nervous. I think Hadyn was also nervous. We got each other's WeChats. We talked, I think we set up a night to meet and go somewhere and have beers and eat or something. And a few days before that, we kind of talked back and forth to each other, and he admitted, he's like, I'm really nervous, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh my God, I'm the same. I'm nervous. This is like, I've never done this before. It's like,
It's new.
I'm meeting a husband.
Do we
Like,
fist bump? Do we give
yeah,
each other
like
what
what,
do we do?
yeah. So I think that kind of broke the ice for both of us and got us to calm down a little bit. And we met and we talked and we joked and we talked some about Kat. We talked some about our past, about we're both from America. We talked about a lot of different topics, a lot of different things.
You guys talk about music. Oh my God.
We did talk about music.
Yeah.
They are both
we did
music.
talk
Were
about
you
music.
surprised? Did you find out things like, oh my gosh, yeah, we both like this in common? Or did you kind of
Not
know some things?
Not really.
I don't think they have the same taste in music, but they do both love music a lot.
You're passionate about the things that you are passionate about with music.
We're definitely, I think that we have a few things in common and we have a few things that are very different from each other. But as a person, I like him. I consider him a friend. I think the biggest thing is that we both are in love with Kat, and I think we both want her to be happy the most. So I think we both do a lot just to make sure that she is happy. So I think we both have that same goal, and that same kind of thinking makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. And did that kind of ease things then when you did have the party? How was it being in a social situation?
There was also a situation the other night where he asked me very directly, he said, at this party, you're going to be Kat's date. Are there things that you would feel uncomfortable with me doing or saying to her or anything like this? He said, basically he said, if you feel uncomfortable at any time in the party, just, pull me aside and be like, I don't feel comfortable in this part, which I think was very awesome and very big of him. He asked, I have pet names for Kat. Do you care if I call her a pet name? Do you care if, if I kiss her, if I hug her, like what's going to make you feel uncomfortable? And I think I basically told him, I said, pet names are fine. I said, you guys are married, you live together. I'm not totally naive. I said, if you feel the need to go hug her and kiss her, I don't know how I'm going to react if I'm in the room. If you want to pull her aside where I don't get a visual of it, then I never knew it happened. But if you feel the need to like hug her and kiss her, and if that makes me feel extremely uncomfortable, then, later at the end of the party, I might pull you aside and be like, hey, I'm sorry that I didn't like it. But everything went really smoothly. And yeah, we've hung out a couple times since.
Wow. But what a big night though.
Yeah.
What
it was a big night. It was
A lot,
yeah.
You're trying to process and manage. And for Kat, for you, were you a little bit nervous at all, like seeing them both together at the same party? Or were you kind of like, you know what, we've talked about it and we'll navigate it?
Let's skip back though. What about how were you when they were meeting up for the first time? Were you like thinking about it all night, or you just like sit at home putting a movie and didn't think about it? You're like, okay, I'll see.
No, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't thinking about it all night at all.
Well, that's cool.
But I was basically
Dead man's heartbeat.
Yeah.
So steady.
Yes, so steady. No, the whole thing is like before they go on the hang out, date, hang out.
It was a date. It was a man date.
It was a
Just
man
say that.
date.
It was a
Bro
man
date.
Yeah.
Before they go, I have a call with Hadyn, and I was just asking him how he feels and everything. And then Hadyn and I have been keep communication with that, like what is expectation, like is like anything like that. I was like whatsoever. So to kind of like talk to him about it, and then after their mandate, I actually went to Dave's place and then to check on him first. So like this is like normally how I do it, and I get the story from Dave's first, and then like I go back home, and then like the next day, and then like to ask about Hayden's perspective and everything. Is everything's positive. I definitely don't feel nervous about it because it's their first time to do that. It's their first time to do that, but I also met Hayden's other partners several times before that happened. So like I know it's not as scary.
So you had the experience of being in the
Yeah.
different role, but you've
Yeah.
seen it play out
I've
before.
seen it play out before, and I just know that like they both have very good personality and very like nice people to and respectful and everything. It's not gonna be like a cat fight.
It was also, Kat said before, she said, you don't have to like him.
Yeah.
My relationship is with you. So there was no pressure. It was,
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have your own opinion and be like, you know what?
yeah.
I don't
I'd be like,
think we
I'd
need to
never
hang
want
out.
to see him ever
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would be
Yeah.
fine
That would be
because
fine.
that's not what your relationship is about.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, Kat, you've been a Metamour then too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did you experience any of these things as well with planning to meet up? Was it like, okay, let's do a lot of, or like, do I want to, or maybe not?
Here's the thing, like Hayden have like more partners than I ever had in our relationship. So for that, it would always be like I'm a very self-focused person. So he told me stories with like different partners and everything, and I'm just kind of like, oh, this girl sounds cool. I want to meet her. I want to know about her. And then there will be some girls like, it sounds so boring. I'm going to pass that. No, I'm not interested. So things like that. So I've been met a few of like Hayden's partner that I feel like I'm interested in general as a person, not because of she is like Hayden's partner. You just feel like, oh, she sounds very cool and interesting. And I'm really wanted to meet someone like that. And it's like, let's do that. And then it's just like that. And also the other person can say no to that. But yeah, and then it's just like that. It just happened, and then they're really awesome.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, so fast forwarding into the party, and so we're getting like play by play. Sorry, guys. I think it's just really interesting to hear both of your perspectives. But like when you were at the party, were you kind of just feeling like, you know what? Okay, the guys have talked about how they might handle their feelings, and
Yeah.
if something comes up, they'll just handle it.
Yeah, it's totally up to them. Their relationship is also their relationship. It have nothing to do with me. I'm just the reason that they met, but how they gonna take that relationship along, like it's none of my business.
It's kind of like meeting your ex's new partner, if you think of it that way. It's like your high school boyfriend, girlfriend, and then you go back to your 5-year reunion and you meet whoever they're married to then, and they meet your partner. It's I don't think it's that far out. I think a lot of things with polyamory and openness, I think a lot of mainstream monogamous couples, and there's a lot of opinions and wild ideas about it that are not necessarily true.
Yeah. So, Kat, you mentioned before when you were like on dating apps, and the one guy who was like a professor or something tried to like, advise you about things, and you were like, I didn't ask for this. What are you doing? Have you had that experience as well, Dave? Like maybe from friends, but also like other people like who you've maybe dated or started seeing. Did people try to explain to you like, or try to change your mind or have stigmas about it?
Definitely stigmas, not try to change my mind. Definitely questions on dating apps. On my dating apps, it says that I'm in an open relationship. It says I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm just looking for just to enjoy life. And I've had people ask me questions about it and say, I could never do that. I don't want to talk to you. Why are you doing this? Kind of like, how do you do that kind of thing? But never, with those people, it's fine. When people are honest with me directly and quickly, and they don't agree with my lifestyle, that's fine. I wish them luck. I hope they find what they're looking for. And I don't want to waste my time talking to people that want to argue about how I live my life, because it's my life.
Hard no.
Yeah.
Hard no. Yeah. Have you found as well, like meeting people in Beijing when you say that, hey, on my profile, I'm in an open relationship, has it kind of changed anything? If anything, has it drawn like more like-minded people to you where they're like, oh, hey, me too? Or do you find that that's harder to find in China and in Beijing?
Definitely my matches have gone way down.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Do meet some like-minded people. Some of them I'm not interested in dating. I'm not physically attracted to them, but I definitely have conversations with them and relate about things that they're going through and things I'm going through in my relationship. And it's good to have a sounding board and a person to talk to outside of my normal life. Sometimes weird people,
Oh yeah.
because you say you're open, they
Oh,
they
gosh.
think that you are into some very different things and kinks and stuff like that. So there have been a couple weird.
Ooh, yeah. Do
matches.
people
I guess
kind
it's
of?
that misunderstanding, though. In the same
Yeah.
way, I can imagine for the reason why your likes of all matches has gone down again, for that misunderstanding right off the bat, right?
But I don't mind the likes going down. That just means that the
Yeah.
people that I'm going to meet in the future are people that are open and interested in meeting.
Oh,
so
for sure.
I don't
Yeah.
want to be wasting time. I don't want to be on my phone all the time on dating apps trying to meet and talk to people that have no
Aren't-
connection with.
Definitely gonna, if you do that, definitely gonna smash your phone in the toilet.
Oh, good to know. I'll hide my phone now.
That was a Date Night Channel exclusive.
Yeah. Do you find that people mix up or misunderstand what being polyamorous and open are compared to like BDSM and kink scene? Do
Yeah.
people automatically think, oh, that must mean are you looking for a sub or a dom or like other things like that?
I feel like they would think that like you're open to polyamorous, then you're supposed to open to those, which is not the case. Yeah, definitely.
There's definitely a negative stereotype for
Yeah.
males. If you're open, then you're just a fucking
Cheater.
yeah.
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 And same for women. If you're open, you're easy and just want to
Easy
fuck
and-
everyone you meet.
yeah.
Yeah, I do think I've heard people comment from the monogamy side. They're just like, oh, it's probably just a guy who wants to cheat or things like that, and they don't know the rules or things or the ethical side of it behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I think. I think when being open or polyamory was more talked about, or it was more in the sort of zeitgeist of sort of conversation, then I think there was like a sub section of males like maybe that have gone into pickup artistry, you know, and then it's just like it's a wonderful persona to take on as an excuse to just have at it, you know.
Yeah. Not only that, I remember in the beginning of our relationship, you sort of like share a argument within a group chat that is talking about open relationship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one was really funny. You just
wow.
send me like what are they arguing about?
Some
and then I
keyboard
was-
warriors in there, right?
Yeah, and I was like, okay.
And why did you I mean, it's never good to feed the trolls. That's I mean. Like, I don't listen to my own advice. I feed the trolls all the time. I just can't help myself. But what was it about that online conversation? Was it just? I mean, did it come down to ignorance? And you were just like,
I was
fucking
just
incensed at this, and I need to.
no. I was just a lurker. I was not going to jump in the debate because it's not. I don't want to sound arrogant saying it's not worth my time, but it wasn't.
true.
Wasn't.
Really?
True.
Time and energy.
I found it humorous. I found it very stereotypical. So I live that kind of lifestyle. I think I have maybe more of an understanding than people who are not. So I shared it with Kat just to.
And was it the general cliches that we've just discussed? That,
Oh, yeah.
that are in there? Yeah.
Totally. And there was so like a lot of misunderstanding.
Yeah.
It was like I was like, oh wow.
It must be exhausting though, because then you're like, yeah, I don't have time to talk to and educate everybody, and it's not my job to educate everybody, and
That's
it's
why
not my
it's-
personal life, and
I think that's why it's not exhausting, because when you meet those people, it's very easy to see what they're after, and then you just say, no, sorry, I don't want to talk about it, or you don't tell them, you don't give that information, then you just move on. So I wouldn't find it exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good advice. Don't feed the trolls.
Yeah.
Don't feed the trolls.
Except for the lurkers, we enjoy the entertainment.
Yeah,
So
I'm
If
always
you
a
need
lurker
to-
too,
yeah.
silently watching.
Right.
So when it comes for you guys and your relationship, then are there any other challenges you kind of faced? I know you've mentioned and touched on jealousy, or is there any other discussions that you've had to have that kind of surprised you, or even like talking with like the future? Are there certain things that like you keep open, or have you talked certain things about the future?
Here's the thing that we have, like, we do have a lot of, like, bumps. Like, as I mentioned before, our relationship just went, like, from the first day and then to now, just goes crazily fast. Everything is just fast forward. But then, like, we have our challenges, like, for example, in the very beginning, we definitely have the challenge of, like, I feel like he just lets me do whatever I want, even though that he needs to compromise. Like, he is a giver. He's natural, and he's been always like, oh, anything you want, anything like that makes you happy, and let's just do it, no matter if, like, it makes me feel like no matter if that is what he wants or not. And then for me, it's just kind of like, we had the discussion and the conversations about it, and then I was like, I don't really like that. I want you to have your own voice. I want you to be able to, like, voice out your needs, because this relationship is not about me taking and you giving. It's a fair relationship that, like, you can have your voice of, like, what you want and what you need as well. I understand that you're doing all this to make me happy, because you think that it's a way to make me happy, but you're also trying to take away my agency of, like, knowing what you want, and maybe I want to do something, meet you in the middle, or maybe I want to do this thing separately from you. So, like, I don't like those kind of thing. And also, I'm just kind of like, it's kind of like a tease, but, like, the only man in my life that does that to me, spoil the fuck out of me, which is my father. So, like, don't do that. I don't want you.
Oh, that gave you like a weird vibe. You were like, no.
It's not about that. Like,
Yeah.
I do love enjoying communicating with him, because, like, I think the communications we have is very mutual, and then he gave me a lot of advice and everything, and I take his advice. I value his advice a lot more than anyone else. So, like, he have a special communicating way with me, so that, like, I actually do listen to what he said. So, like, I don't want this to be something that, like, I'm just overdoing it, or I'm just, like, gonna be, like, in the end walking around him. Yeah. So, things like that. How about from your perspective? What's the challenge?
What was the question again?
What's the challenge? Any other challenges?
And when you think about the future, or as you both move forward together.
The future. That's a tough one, because the future is so unpredictable. I never imagined that I would ever be living in China. I never imagined I would be here for as long as I was, as long as I have been here.
Preach.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Yes,
So-
all of us.
So the future to me is like, we talk about the future, and we have plans, and we have things that we want to do, and I love that about our relationship. I love that we kind of our goals and our mindset and our aesthetic likes are very similar, and I like to think about the future. We talk about it, but again, it's I don't know. I have an idea of what I want my future to be with Kat, and I keep that very close, and I don't share that with anyone else but Kat, because I do have a fear that, yeah, the future things might change, and that future that I want with her might not be available. So that's something that I keep very guarded, and I don't tell many people about.
Understandable.
Yeah. But she knows what I'm talking about.
So, anybody that's listened to this and they may be in a similar situation to both of you, you know, from your perspective, Kat, or from your perspective, Dave, when you first met Kat, what would be? I mean, I kind of feel like I know what might come, but what advice would you give anybody that might be embarking on this type of relationship?
I would say it depends on the person's personality and what they want out of life and what their values are, and I follow what I want. So for me, it was a very simple and easy decision. It felt right, so I went for it, and I'm going to continue with it. And I think it depends on the person. I think everyone knows their own limits and boundaries and what they can't do. I say go for it. You only live once.
For my advice, for me, I have one thing that I wanted to tell people, not just polyamorous couples or monogamous couples. Like, everybody needs to know that it's like, always be cautious about what you actually want, because I've been run into situations of friends' stories or whatsoever, they're having arguments. It's like kind of like, okay, you're telling your partner, you're telling someone that what you need is honesty, but then when they're being honest to you, you punish them because you don't like the answer. You don't like the answer. But remember, you told them that what you asked for is honesty. Never punish someone that is following what you said.
That's much better advice than mine.
I think your advice was
Both
pretty
are good
Dave.
advice.
No, that was solid.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so true, because I think you might want a certain thing, or you think you know how you're going to handle it, but
Because
you
it's
don't
like a
know.
no-brainer, right? You're like, do you want me to be honest? Well, do you want somebody to be honest with you? Well, of course,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But then you
It's
think
like,
about it if
how dare you?
Yeah.
exactly, how dare you?
We've also had that conversation about
Yeah.
dating other people and saying, how much do you want to know about the
Yeah.
people I meet? How much do I want to know about the people you meet? And
Always remember your need, what you ask for can always change.
Yeah.
But communication beforehand, you need to communication and let the other person know that your need has changed. Otherwise, you can't be pissed at them. It's like,
blindsided.
yeah, I want this. Was that? It's not what you told me to do. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And then be pissed and then have argument, and it's like just such a wasting time.
Yeah. Do you guys have to have like weekly check-ins, or do you do like a certain time period, or every month a check-in or something about those kind of things? Or is it just as it comes up and as you need to do a check-in for that?
I wouldn't say we have check-ins, but we have our own way of communicating. We spend a lot of time talking. Sometimes we'll just hang out and drink and listen to music. And communicate.
There is a very special way to do it. We have a very special thing to do it, and then so it's just nights that we just being at home playing some music, and then we'll be drinking, and then we will talk to each other's like we are friends, and then talk about our situation like a friend. So like I would be telling Dave, like, so you know that I've been dating this guy. I just met this guy at this scenario, and then we've been going through this. Like, so like talking in the third person about our relationship,
And that removes you a little bit.
Yeah,
It makes it safer to share.
Exactly. It makes you feel like, oh, actually, you can be more honest. Like there's more feelings that you can be shared about, and then the other person doesn't really feel so like close to it, or like
it's a good way to talk about what's going on.
Yeah.
Usually it takes me a drink or two to realize what's going on.
Yeah.
And be like, oh shit, wait, what? Oh, I get it now. Okay,
so
yeah.
friend.
Okay. So this is what I want to tell you.
I get it.
Yeah. She's really good at situational play and things like that.
That's really good advice though, and I think that would work for any like kind of relationship or even friendship, just to kind of make it easier to confront or talk about a situation or how you're feeling.
We had one date like that where you were Amy and I was Steve.
Oh yeah.
I love that though. I think that's
that was
really
fun, right?
Had you done that before? Or like was it just like a random thing you guys started and you're like,
This is a random thing we
Just
got.
happened.
We
Yeah, we're
started.
like,
Yeah. We spent a lot of night drinking.
Yeah. We used to do stuff like
yeah,
that.
we used to do that a lot too. Yeah.
Maybe you should start again.
Yeah.
I think we did one where we created this whole weird story.
Yeah, we just
about,
wrote.
like,
Yeah, we weren't talking about ourselves. We just
No,
made
we
up a
just-
weird story.
Yeah, and we kind of ran with it for like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, it was fun though.
It
It's
was
just
loads
fun
of fun.
banter, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you ever so
and
much.
Thank you for sharing your experiences
Of
and
course.
just being so open with us. We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
I feel like we've completed the chapter. You know, like having the 2 episodes, it's been very lovely. Thank you
Yeah,
ever so much.
yeah.
And being so open and honest. And what we did say in the last episode about you both, Kat and Haydn, I'll say again here to Kat and Dave, just how, you know, I still think it's very brave, you know, to do what you're doing. You may not think so, but like to go into that relationship and to treat every situation with that honesty and communication and that agency, because it's just not easy to do, no matter what your situation or how you want to love. You know, I still think what comes with it is a lot of bravery. So, fantastic.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, that's
So,
it.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.